This week on SUTV Overtime, rivals clash at Seth Grove Stadium as the Raiders prepare to get back on the road.
Field hockey plows through its toughest part of the season, facing 4 ranked teams in a row.
Both men's and women's soccer look to continue their winning ways this week as both teams sit above 500 in the PSAC.
That more next on SUTV Overtime.
Hi everybody, great to have you with us here on SUTV Overtime. Jacob Pitts, Patrick Ramsdale, you know the drill. Same folks up here, but a different week in sports. Let's get right into our highlights with our Ship in 6th Street. Patrick, you kick us off.
Football with about 5 minutes to go in the game. Westchester trying to mount a late charge. Ymir Wilkinson in at QB. He tries to run it up the middle, but the ball is poked free by Chisholm Ifani. Laron Woody recovers for Shippensburg. Raiders hold on to win 34-18 over Westchester.
Women's soccer from Wednesday against Mansfield. That's SUTV's own Mackenzie Mitchell, who passes it to Kelly Dunnigan, who's going to fight through the pressure, crosses it over, and finds KK O'Donnell, who will find the back of the net. The Raiders win 2-1 in overtime.
Field hockey against Westchester. Adrian McGarrigle finds Yasmin Petrantonio, spins, takes it in a circle, and fires it into the back of the net and scores. Ship remains number 1, beating Westchester 4-0.
Men's soccer now. Patrick Joyner on the far side crosses it and finds Owen Iacobelli, who knocks it in. Raiders score again with Harry Kershaw and beat the Raiders beat Slippery Rock 2-1. It'd be pretty tough for them to beat themselves, huh? All right, so another great week in Ship sports. A lot of W's across the board there. Both soccer teams winning. Football obviously picking up that important win against Westchester. Field hockey is staying alive, undefeated as of now. Of course, they're playing right now as we are recording this. So we'll find out their fate once this is out, and you'll probably know the field hockey score by then too. But things right now, all things considered, looking good.
Yeah, it was a great week to be a Raiders sports fan, and a lot of dominant performances all around. I believe every team that played this week pretty much came away with a win. Volleyball as well came up with a 3-0 victory. So it's been a great week.
Let's start off with football here. Big win at home. I want to say we expected this, but 2 years ago when we were up in the press box getting ready for the game, the Westchester folks came in and said, this is going to be a closer game than you think. We're not really confident. They still came away with the win. Same story, different year on Saturday. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, you said the same thing 2 years ago, and it didn't really matter. Oh, brother, this year it mattered.
Yeah, and I think it's the Westchester, no matter the records of either of those teams, whenever Shippensburg plays Westchester, you never know who's going to win that game because both these teams not a fan of each other, and they both want to come out with the win. It could be 5-0 versus 0-5, and that's still going to be a close game against each other.
Let's talk about Westchester's situation. 3 different quarterbacks playing in that game. Their starting quarterback did not make the trip to Shippensburg. You had one quarterback in for one play, ran it up the middle, tried to shovel it over to a teammate, fumble recovered by the Raiders, didn't see him the rest of the day. Do you think if Westchester could have found one quarterback to stick to, they would have had a better chance?
Yeah, I definitely think that was the big issue. Not even just at the quarterback. I think just all around, Westchester struggled to find just a system that worked that game. It seemed like they kept moving stuff around, especially in at QB. Running back, they had a few changes in his there. Didn't have a consistent kind of person running the ball for them. So they just couldn't find a good system that they could stick with the whole game and kind of keep momentum rolling through that lineup. And that was ultimately their downfall.
Well, and speaking of running back, of course, you have Jaden McKenzie, who plays for Westchester, the number 4 best running back in the PSAC, held to 6 yards on 7 carries, no touchdowns. Is the Raiders' front 7 just that good? I mean, Phil Polkway was able to scamper through and find the end zone and put together some yardage. Jaden McKenzie, he was silenced.
And I think the Raiders' defense knows that Westchester is going to run the ball a lot, and I think that was a big emphasis in practice with Coach Mack was trying to get set to shut down that run game, and they accomplished their mission.
Looking ahead now for the Raiders, 5-1 on the season. They're going into a tough game on the road against Kutztown, a team that they're relatively good against at home. It's a lot more even when you get on the road, at least in Ship's past. What's a key for the Raiders here going up against Kutztown, who, remember, beat Shepherd, who clobbered the Raiders 2 weeks ago?
I think a big thing is for them probably just kind of, you can't overlook, you can't say overlook Kutztown because they're a tough opponent, but you can't go into their home stadium and kind of let that affect you. I think that may have been an issue that they had against Shepherd was, they were on the road and Shepherd's fans kind of maybe got to them a little bit. But I think you have to go and you can't look at Kutztown being, oh, they beat Shepherd, this is going to be a tough game. You have to look at them like they're any other team.
And last season, it didn't go well for the Raiders. 55-5 was the final score. They scored on a safety, and they scored a field goal, and that was the extent of the Raiders finding any sort of points in the game that they played 2 years ago. Let's move on now to field hockey. Field hockey remaining undefeated on the season. Yasmin Petrantonio, Jenna Schlemmer, they're just doing their own thing. They're going through. It doesn't matter whether the opponents are ranked or not. They're going in and taking care of business. That Westchester game last week. Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that game. Everyone expected that, the number 1 versus number 2 in the country in D2. Everyone expected a significantly closer game than a 4-0 shutout where Shippensburg outshot Westchester. I believe it was about, 26-3?
I think so, yeah.
I think we've known all year that this Shippensburg field hockey team is an absolute powerhouse in Division II field hockey. But I think this really puts them leaps and bounds above everyone else in D2. And they've really solidified themselves as the top team in the country, without question.
And of course, then on Saturday, they play Kutztown on the road this past Saturday, and they win 2-1 in overtime. Things got scary for a moment. You got to wonder, is field hockey going to be able to potentially keep this streak up, or do you think the rest of the teams could catch up to them here before the end of the season?
I think field hockey is going to be able to keep this streak. I don't see the only real teams I see contending with Shippensburg this year, not just for the PSAC tournament, but on the national level. The only 2 teams I can see really having strong competition is Westchester and ESU. And we've seen they've played Westchester twice so far this year, and they've beat them both times. One's at Westchester and then at home. And ESU, we've seen them play them time and time again, and Shippensburg has generally come out on top against them.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens with field hockey. Of course, they're playing right now as we are recording this. We'll have highlights on that and a full recap on our Thursday show. How about cross country? Of course, we are off next week because it is fall break, so there is no overtime next week. There is no SUTV news broadcast next week. So we get to talk about cross country a little early as a preview here, heading into the PSAC Championships at Kutztown. That is next Friday, the 22nd.
Yeah, and cross country, we've said this time and time again on this show, Shippensburg is a running school. We're also a field hockey school, as we have proven so far in the past few years. But I think the track and field, both indoor and outdoor, and cross country has kind of been the bread and butter for Shippensburg for well over a decade. And both the cross country teams are set to, I think, take both of the PSAC championships.
There's certainly going to be a threat for both of them. There's no doubt about that. Let's move on from our highlights, of course, and let's move on to our top 5 plays from the week. And let me tell you, this one was hard. There were about 6 or 7 things that I could pick from. Had to bump some things out and shuffle things around a little bit. Here's our top 5. Let's take a look.
He's really hard to get down.
Ship now back in business. 2 receivers up high, 1 down low. Handed off Williams again. Williams with the hole. Gets through the crease into the secondary. Off he goes. Can he get there to the 5? Touchdown! Bill Williams takes it 39 yards, and the Raiders strike right back.
It's going. Schlemmer shoots. Scores! Jenna Schlemmer from Wink.
Bringing it in. Shot. In! That's a goal! That's Sidney Miller! Ball game!
Shippensburg wins 2-1 in overtime. Sidney Miller.
We really haven't seen, though, Musina take a deep shot downfield.
No,
it
we
just
haven't.
hasn't happened. It's
We
all been
haven't.
short passes or runs. You got to wonder here, fourth quarter, blow this thing open. Sheehan, run. I'll find you downfield.
I mean, here's my thing with that. I think
Here's the play. A bunch to the right. Musina rolls, fires deep, has a man wide open. Lot of room. Past midfield. That's Morrow. Cuts it back. See you later. Evan Morrow. Touchdown. There's your strike. 75 yards. Not quite 75 yards. I think 70. My, oh, my.
You know, I was going to go into the fact that Messina's been pretty responsible with these short throws, but you know, that's the payoff with these long. I wouldn't even call that a long pass. I call it somewhere in between a short and long.
To try and make this a 31-18 ball game, we line up in a T formation. This is a new one. And now everybody spreads out. Musina, empty set. Snap, rolling, pressure, stays alive, fires across his body, caught, Ballant, he's in! David Ballant escapes Jackson Taylor's tackle. What a throw by Bryson Musina!
How about that? Football had a lot of moments in it, and there are like 3 more that we could have put in if we wanted to that were turnovers. A lot of fun from that Westchester game.
Oh, yeah, that top 5 easily could have just been the top 5 plays from football.
Top 5 plays from football could have been top 10 just overall. A lot of different directions that we could have gone with that. Let's get now to game balls. Let's run through it. Patrick, game ball of the week. Who you got?
If you're going to take a guess at what sport, you can take a pick for what sport it would be for me.
I'm going to go golf.
No, it's field hockey. It's field hockey. 4th show in a row, I'm picking someone from field hockey. It's just, you can't not pick someone from field hockey. Same as the last show. Going to pick Jenna Schlemmer. 4 goals over 2 games against Westchester and Kutztown. 2 in each. She had the OT winner against Kutztown, and 2nd straight athlete of the week for her.
Things are going pretty well for Jenna Schlemmer, I would say. Athlete of the week for me, Bill Williams, the running back for Shippensburg, who him and Khalid Dorsey kind of go back and forth with snaps. 15 carries on Saturday, 96 yards. He was up over 100, but he had negative 5 yards in there, so that pushed him back to 96. And of course, that 39-yard touchdown that you saw in that top 5, Bill Williams gets my game ball for the week. And if he can put on another show like that next week against Kutztown, things may be rolling pretty well for the Raiders. Crew call. Who you got?
So the crew is going to go with freshman field hockey goaltender Lindsay Trapoto. 6 saves and a shutout in the last 2 games. She 2-0. Only allowed 1 goal, and that was obviously against Kutztown. She obviously shut out Westchester. So that's the crew's pick for game ball this week.
She's done very, very well in the net, and as you mentioned, she's a freshman. And she's doing really, really well in net. So the Raiders have a lot to look forward to in the years ahead, knowing that they've got somebody really, really strong in the back of the net for them.
Yeah, I think this field hockey dynasty is not over yet, and we'll continue to see some field hockey dominance for a few more years to come.
Oh, yeah, we will. All right, so that's our coverage for this week. This is episode number 4 for us already on SUTV Overtime. As I mentioned earlier, we are off next week because it is fall break, not spring break, it's fall break. So we will see you in 2 weeks, already at the end of October. Are you kidding me? We're going to be talking about basketball in less than a month. Ready or not, here it comes. This fall season's almost over.
I'm going to have to find a new sport to start picking the game balls from. Once field hockey's coming towards an end here.
We still got playoffs and everything through there, but you're right. So again, that's our coverage for this week here on SUTV Overtime. For Patrick Ramsdale, I'm Jacob Hitz. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.